I'm going to start with a caveat. Today I'm going to talk about procrastination, self-care, and priorities. But obviously this is a difficult time for a lot of people, not only due to the COVID-19 crisis, but also due to the increase in police brutality and the continued failure of political leadership. I will not judge anyone who is not in the right frame of mind to work on their productivity right now. My goal isn't to take anyone to task, it's to help get at the heart of why you might procrastinate on a normal day and how it affects you mentally. If now is not the right time for you, no worries. I hope you come back when the ground beneath your feet feels a bit more solid. In January, I emailed myself an article about procrastination. I didn't read it until May, when we were already 2 months into a national quarantine. This BBC Work-Life article talked about procrastination not as a time management problem, which is how a lot of us think of it, but as an emotional issue. We don't procrastinate for no reason. We procrastinate because we know that what we're putting off will either be hard, or will make us feel bad, or will just take a lot of energy. When we put it off, those negative feelings about the project get worse, because now we're adding in the guilt about the fact that we procrastinated. So we further don't want to address those problems. So we procrastinate again. This cycle of putting things off, feeling bad that we did so, and putting them off again so we don't have to deal with them, this is a very pernicious form of self-harm and self-sabotage. And make no mistake, we all do it. When I met the woman who is now my fiancée, I told her that I was working on a novel and my goal was to complete the novel by my birthday, April 11th, 2018. We met in June 2018. I finished that draft on March 6th, 2019. I didn't really work on edits until the beginning of this year, and I just finished the next draft on March 18th, 2020. Something that only took me a couple of months to do, but took me a year to finish. I understand procrastination. I wish I could find the source, but I remember hearing a few years ago that the main cause of procrastination is that we think of our future selves as a different person. We always assume that our future self is going to be more productive, more focused. How many times in my life do I say, well, that's future Mike's problem? I'm future Mike, but past Mike doesn't worry about that. It's funny because when you're writing, it's actually helpful to think about your future self as someone different from you. After all, that version of you is the one that has to edit the word vomit you pour onto the page every day. And you have to disassociate when you're writing, because you can't worry about what the editor version of you is going to think. You have to wait for that version to have the perspective and clarity you do on your writing. So in that sense, it can be a really helpful tool, and I'll probably talk a little bit more about that next week. But when you're not being productive, when it means you're putting something off for your future self to deal with, assuming that future version of you will suddenly have the free time or the mental and emotional bandwidth that you don't have, that can be a slippery slope. And the truth is, sometimes you really do know that there will be a better time to do something. When I worked in the entertainment industry, I had no time to write and barely enough time for friends. It wasn't until I left that job that I was able to start finishing stories, start an AuthorTube channel, and make dinner for my fiance. I have a wedding coming up this year, and soon I'll have to start doing a lot more prep for it. I know that for at least a month leading up to it, I probably won't get much writing done. And that's okay. That's part of my schedule for the year, and I have time to prepare for it. But some distractions are just internal bargains. I don't have the energy to write, so I'll read instead. I don't have the energy to work out, so I'll watch YouTube videos. I don't have the brain power to think about anything besides all the crazy stuff happening in the world, so I'll spend all day on Twitter. These aren't just trade-offs, they're little hostage situations. Your guilt over not working holds your energy hostage and makes a demand. Make me feel better. And you're forced to hand over whatever you think might make your guilt happy. I'll say that again. When you feel guilty about not working, that guilt holds your energy hostage. And then you feel powerless. I found a lot of ways to justify procrastination. After all, I want to do those things that I fill my time with. I want to catch up on TV shows or YouTube videos or podcasts or the comic books I bought 4 or 5 years ago and never got around to reading. During the pandemic, my fiance and I have been torn between the need to be productive and the need to relax. We tend to bounce back and forth between them practically daily. We make lists of things we need to get done around the house or that we can do online. We check a few of them off. Sometimes we do several in one day, which is always a fantastic feeling. Others we put off for later. This is very natural. We are by no means the only one in this situation at this point in 2020. But whenever we put something off that sounds difficult, it just seems harder the next time we do discuss it. So instead, we catch up on Grey's Anatomy, which I've never seen, she loves, and I'm really enjoying. We play video games because we indulged and got ourselves a PS4, which was a very wise investment during the pandemic. It has helped us tremendously. We stay glued to Twitter so that we can stay informed, because there's a lot going on right now. One thing I've started doing during the pandemic is making a second to-do list. Not the stuff I need to do with Victoria, but my own list. Things I want to write, things I want to do for my podcasts, shows I want to watch, video games that I want to finish playing, stuff that I want to read that has nothing to do with my writing, just recreational stuff. And then when I do my distractions from productivity, working out, writing, podcasts, things like that, whenever I do my procrastinations, I still get that satisfaction of knowing I'm making progress on an item on my list. The truth is, I don't know yet whether this system works. There are still things on that list that I keep pushing off, and whenever I do, I feel even less inclined to do them. But watching these items get checked off still makes me feel good. And I think that's progress. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more like it, you can subscribe, and you can hit the bell to get notified whenever there's a new video. And I think this is a very rich topic for discussion, so if you're willing to talk about it, let's jump into the comments and talk about procrastination. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe. I love you, Victoria.